Welcome back, everyone, to OpenLine. We have with us Councilmember Joy Styles. We are talking about the Nashville Entertainment Commission. Should we have one? What are the pros, as far as you are concerned, about that? We're also going to talk about how some of these Wall Street firms are coming in and buying up homes. That's an issue where I first interviewed you before you were a council member, and you can talk a little more about that. But we have some calls. Let's go to Jeanette. Jeanette, what is on your mind?
I was just calling, and I wanted to talk to Ms. Styles, and I wanted to tell her I was so excited about hearing about the Entertainment Commission. Hello?
Yes,
hi.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, hi. And so I'm just so excited when I heard about you talking about the Entertainment Commission. It sounds like something that we really need here, and we're missing out on a lot of money. I have been interested in theater for years. I'm older now, but about 40 years ago when I was young, my children and I, they were young, but we got involved in a little tiny theater here that went around the churches and did little plays, and it was just wonderful. And I thought, why does Nashville not have a community, theater where the community comes in and do that? And when you talk about Annie, I got just so excited. And the children in school, and I have a granddaughter now that just graduated from MTSU in May, and she was in business, music business.
Yes.
She got her degree in, and so she's going to be a singer, and she just dropped another record. But see, she's talking about moving to Atlanta. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be nice if it was something here where she could stay and fly a craft here?
All right.
And also,
well, Jeanette, do you have a go ahead.
Well, I don't have I just want to say that I'm excited about it. I think it's a wonderful idea. I hope that, it gets passed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you.
Email council members, council.members@nashville.gov.
There's another mom who wants their kids to come back here.
I'm telling you, what we have in Nashville is an issue of people having to leave town to work because we don't have the work to offer. And creating an office where we are dedicating our time, our efforts to bring business here, to promote Nashville, the brand of Nashville, and marketing nationally, regionally, and internationally, covering all of our bases to let the world know that Nashville really is officially open for business on all fronts, not just music, but also film, and also the other avenues that are taking place right now. As I said, you're talking about scoring, you're talking about digital media as well, virtual reality. All of those things are coming to Tennessee. So we need to be taking advantage of that.
Now, I want to also talk about
Can I explain the commission, though?
Oh, do you want to explain it? Okay, explain that, because then I'm going to switch gears.
Okay,
I'm going to totally switch gears. So, yeah, watch out.
I want to be sure that everyone understands what the commission is. And so proposing a body of members that would have executives as well as individuals that are boots on the ground working within multiple industries. So within the film industry, within the music industry, and then we have some catch-all areas as well. And so those would be staggered terms, some to get it started, serving 1 year, serving 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years. Volunteer. But what that enables us to do is have extra hands that we're not having to pay for. These are individuals that are already working in their craft, in record labels, movie studios, and so they're just they can provide insight to the office, because the office, we also want to create, what is our project going to be? What's going to be the signature piece for Nashville when we have this Office of Music, Film, and Entertainment that says, oh my gosh, that's Nashville's.
Are they selected by the mayor, or who selects them?
So glad that you asked. So they will be selected by council members, by the mayor, and then in a fashion similar to how the Community Oversight Board was done, entertainment entities will be able to put forth possible representatives. They will fill out questionnaires, then come to the Rules Committee and be interviewed by council, and then voted on the floor.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to move on to this other thing.
You go ahead.
Okay. So when I first interviewed you, before you were on the council, you were a member of homeowners association.
I was
right?
the president of the
You were the
homeowners association.
president of the homeowners association. I was in your neighborhood, and you were very concerned as president of the homeowners association about these companies that were coming in, buying up single-family homes, and then turning around and renting them.
Yes.
And we did stories about American Homes for Rent, and some of these big companies that come in, and some of the other names are escaping me, but they're Progress, and they're well known. It's been well documented since then. You are in the same home. What are you seeing in your neighborhood now, as opposed to when I did this story 3-4 years ago?
It's gotten worse. And quite frankly, I'm getting ready to host a community meeting in my district probably next month to talk about what communities can do to prevent this rental takeover that is taking place. You have American Homes for Rent that is buying land from people that the land has been zoned to be single family, and then American Homes for Rent comes in and says to that landowner, hey, we'll give you an ungodly amount of money if you'll sell us this land so we can build our own neighborhood. That's 300 homes that will never belong to Davidson County residents, and that's a travesty. I think you are taking advantage of the system. You do not live in these communities. There's no one that works for these companies that lives in the neighborhood and is vested to make sure that it's really a community. I think what I've seen recently is because our home values have gone up, many people that have owned their homes for over 10 years, and I've seen it in my neighborhood as well, they're saying, I'm getting out. I'm going to go and build a new house with this equity I have in my house, and I'm going to rent this one. The problem with that is when you don't get a responsible renter, or when you do not give that renter the community rules, it creates havoc for the rest of the community of homeowners that have, put their roots down in that neighborhood. And so there is a subdivision close to me of townhomes, and they are 50% owned by one individual. That individual now controls all the rules. There's nothing that the other homeowners can do to stop anything.
So now what you're talking about there, are those private, that's an individual investor, maybe somebody who's lived here, he's bought up a lot of property. We're not talking about a Wall Street firm in that case.
It's both. Yeah. It's gotten bad because now you have the individual who might have bought 50% of a community, in addition to a corporation that is also buying up property, and they really have poor communication skills. So you have no way of communicating with them when something takes place with their resident, and then that issue perpetuates and it sends a sign to others in the neighborhood, well then I guess I'm allowed to do that very same thing too. And it's very frustrating because the fear is the more rentals you get in a neighborhood, the more that corporation can ultimately have more votes and have a larger say. And suddenly you don't have any parameters to keeping your neighborhood clean, to having order and sometimes peace, because then it becomes, well, that's my rental house and I make a certain amount of money on that, so I'm good if people are holding parties on the weekends. I don't live there, what do I care?
When we interviewed you initially as president of the HOA, you were coming up with rules to try and stop all of these Wall Street firms. These were companies coming in, something along the lines of, I think you had to live there 2 years before you could rent it out. So that would stop some of these Wall Street firms from just buying and immediately putting it on the market.
That was a first step. It's gotten so bad, it's not enough to just say you have to live in your home for 2 years and own it and live in it for 2 years. At this point now, what I'm seeing is that neighborhoods really need to come together and determine what is the percentage of rental homes that you would like to allow in your neighborhood. And beyond that, if anyone tries to rent a home, if you're at your limit, then you can take that person to court. And that should be the deterrent for anyone wanting to get involved. I will say that the rule that we had on the books did turn away a few investors. It worked out well. But that doesn't combat when you've been in a house for 10 to 15 years and you've seen your equity go up tremendously and you want to leave and you decide to either sell to an investment company or you allow someone to come in and rent your house from you. And it changes the character of a neighborhood. And that's not to say that there are not wonderful renters out there. There are. But there are also several individuals that don't care and are not vested in a community per se.
When it comes to property rights, that could be a little tough. I mean, let's say you live in your house for a few more years and then you want to go and live at the beach and you want to rent your house out, and there's a limit on how many there can be in and you can't do it. That would be tough.
It sounds like it would be tough. I think if there's a cap, then you have to follow the rules, right? So we're at our cap for rentals. Okay, then I need to make a decision. Am I going to sell my house? I don't know that I'm necessarily going to fight it, because as it is, not everyone is doing a good job in finding a good renter. It becomes, I just want to get out and I'll take anybody in here that's willing to pay me money monthly. And I think for me, I care about the character of neighborhoods. I care about the character of community. And if you have people that don't buy into that think that if I live in this one house in a neighborhood of 150 to 200 can do its own thing and everyone else has to follow rules, I mean, that's kind of asinine. And it becomes very frustrating.
Fascinating discussion, and one that we're having all over Nashville. All right, we'll take a break, come back, continue our discussion right after this.